Thank you, and good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Standing Committee on Transport, Infrastructure and Communities, meeting number 31, orders of the day televised for everyone's information. Pursuant to Standing Order 108, Bracket 2, a study on the closure of Avios Fleet Performance Incorporated. Joining us today from the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers in Canada, Mr. Louis Ehrlichman, Canadian Research Director, Jean Poirier, General Chairman, Chuck Atkinson, President and Director General, Tony Didoshak, General Chairman, Christopher Hiscock, President, and Gilles Brousseau, Quebec Coordinator. Welcome. I am sure that Alexandre has given the directions, and I think Mr. Atkinson, you're going to open with some remarks. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'd like to thank the committee for the opportunity to appear before you and present our views on the Avios closure. The International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers is the largest union in the Canadian air transport sector, having represented Canadian airline workers for over 70 years. We represent 2,600 Avios workers, most of whom were transferred from Air Canada. We also represent around 2,300 members who continue to perform aircraft line maintenance at Air Canada. The recent announcement of Avios' closure and the loss of over 2,600 direct jobs across Canada is shocking, but it does not come as a surprise. It is the result of a series of government policies and Air Canada actions that have undermined the Canadian aircraft maintenance industry. Aircraft maintenance is a growing global industry, providing highly skilled employment and a major component of Canada's skill and technology base. Avios, the former heavy maintenance division of Air Canada, is a major repository of these skills and know-how on which this sector depends. The Avios closure is more than the loss of over 2,600 high-skilled jobs and thousands of spin-off jobs and many millions of dollars of lost income and tax revenue. It has serious effects on the cities of Montreal, Winnipeg, Vancouver. In these difficult economic times, the Avios closure deals a body blow to this economically important sector. When the federal government privatized Air Canada in 1988, we raised serious concerns about the potential for a privatized Air Canada to move much of its work and jobs out of Canada. The government responded by including in the Air Canada Public Participation Act provisions requiring the corporation to maintain operational and overhaul centres in the city of Winnipeg, the Montreal urban community, and the city of Mississauga. The merger of Air Canada and Canadian Airlines has since added Vancouver as a major Air Canada maintenance centre. In 1988, both the government and Air Canada stated publicly that the Air Canada Public Participation Act guaranteed that employment performing aircraft overhaul would be maintained and indeed expanded in these communities. Frankly, these provisions did not allay our concerns. We feared that a privately owned Air Canada's drive for short-term gain would undermine this commitment. Our fears have now been realized. From the time that Air Canada exited from creditor protection in 2004, Air Canada management proceeded systematically to dismantle the corporation, selling off assets and sucking over $2 billion worth out of the company, rewarding themselves handsomely while financially weakening the airline. As part of this asset-stripping exercise, a majority share in the heavy maintenance division, Avios, was sold for over $700 million in 2007. At that time, Air Canada committed contractually to provide Avios with continuing work maintaining Air Canada's aircraft. Subsequently, close to half of Air Canada's maintenance workforce was forced to transfer to Avios on the promise of continued long-term employment based on long-term Air Canada contracts. Air Canada has not followed through on its commitment to provide the work to sustain Avios, leading Avios to file for creditor protection and announce its closure. Air Canada has not provided us with the information as to where it plans to have the heavy maintenance work done. The speculation is that it may not be done in Canada. While all of this has been unfolding, the federal government has stood by, making no effort to save this company and this sector. Even as Avios announced its demise, the government has refused to act. While the government showed no hesitation to step in to quash our members' collective bargaining rights at Air Canada on the grounds of the economic necessity, it is unwilling to take any steps to maintain thousands of jobs in a vibrant sector. We are prepared to take legal action to get Air Canada to live up to the requirements of the 1988 legislation, but we are not here to talk about a legal issue. This is an economic and a moral issue for us. Is the government prepared to stand by and watch the demise of a major player in the key sector of our economy? That's the question. We call upon the Harper government to respect its commitment under the law to support these jobs and the aviation maintenance industry in Canada. Thank you. Now will be open for questions.
Thank you very much. Mr. Nichols.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Nous savons bien que le ministre va se cacher derrière ses avocats, alors on va parler d'autre chose que la loi ici. Le président et chef de la direction d'Air Canada a affirmé à ce comité que les agences fédérales de développement économique pourraient contribuer à l'établissement de nouvelles entreprises de maintenance, de réparation et de révision au Canada en vue d'embaucher la main-d'œuvre qualifiée. En vue d'embaucher la main-d'œuvre qualifiée et d'utiliser les installations existantes. Selon vous, que devrait faire le gouvernement fédéral pour que vos membres recommencent à travailler au Canada?
On sait tous que les maires des villes sont prêts à nous appuyer dans nos démarches. On sait tous que les provinces canadiennes sont prêtes à nous appuyer dans nos démarches. La seule chose qu'on entend présentement du gouvernement conservateur, c'est qu'il n'y a aucun plan de sauvetage, ils sont prêts à nous aider en rien.
They can help us. They can't help us at all. So today we are here to talk to the government, tell the government clearly to get involved because there are jobs that need to be saved. There's legislation that has to be upheld, and the government can't hide. The government has to be there to help us, help the cities, the provinces, the Canadian public, all the people that are out in the street, jobless, with no money. The government just has to do something about it. This is a government. This isn't legislation that you're responsible for. You have to be there. I have two questions. The issue of transfer of jobs from Air Canada to Avios, that the machinists were transferred. When did that happen? When did most of those employees end up being transferred from Air Canada? The sale was done in 2007 with respect to Avios, but the jobs were only transferred in 2011, July 2011. And 8 months later, everyone's out in the street. Last year, I was before the same parliamentary committee, perhaps different people around the table. I recognize some of you, all fully aware of what was happening, what was going to happen. And today, people on the government side, it's as though they have forgotten that they're just dropping the ball. And yet people are out in the streets, jobless. And I'll repeat that many times because I'd like you to think about it from your heart. The government's there for the people, the Canadian public, not simply for shareholders of private companies. What about the transfer, other transfers of bosses from Avios to Air Canada? Did that happen? Yes. Yes, people in management went directly from Air Canada to Avios. So it is possible that these people might have known what was underway. They were aware of everything that was happening within Avios. They could have explained this to Air Canada management quite easily, couldn't they? Listen, I've been in this company from the very beginning. All members of the management, now I'm using my own words here, but all managers that transferred from Avios, I don't think they were aware of the entire plan plan as to what exactly is happening today. I think all those decisions were done at senior management, at a senior management level. Perhaps Mr. Kolchak from United Airlines and Delta, perhaps Mr. Butterfield as well. But when it comes to lower management, I don't think they were. We know that Mr. Kolchak, the Conservatives, did not want to hear from him before our committee, so we can't ask him questions. Can you explain to the committee in what way this is a direct violation, these closures is a direct violation of the Air Canada Public Participation Act, and the act of privatizing the maintenance, was that not a first step in moving these jobs to abroad? As I've said, when it comes to legislation, and I think I've said it a few times over the last few weeks, people are starting to get the message. There was the spirit behind the act, and I think you're all parliamentarians. I think you all know how it works. When you set up legislation, you realize that you meet to discuss it in the legislative committee and discuss it for months to make sure that everything is done soundly. I was listening to Mr. Benoit Bouchard at the time. And he said there would be no MPs from Quebec and Manitoba who would have accepted this or agreed to it had they known what was going to happen. Clearly, the overall centres had to be maintained in those three cities, and we also include Vancouver today. This is clear even in the Superior Court decision from Ontario. Air Canada was in compliance with the Act because of the fact that Avios was there. Now that Avios is no longer there, we could say that there's no compliance. I would say, yes, we're not. That we're outlaws.
Est-ce que Madame Morin a des questions?
Madame Morin, do you have any questions?
Excusez-moi, je suis arrivée en retard.
Sorry, I ended up in the wrong room, so I'm a little late. Last week, we heard that the government had refused to call Avios to appear. Do you have any comments on that? Do you think that's normal? I'm not surprised, says Mr. Poirier. I'm not surprised, given that Avios does not want to appear. It shows that they have something to hide. No, I'm not surprised. That's the only answer I have on that. And what about you? Did you finally get an opportunity to contact Avios? Did you have discussions with them as to what happened? It's in the only discussions. I know that Avios is really shrinking. Many people are leaving when it comes to our contacts and our working relations. There are about perhaps 3 people still responsible for employees, and there are 2,600 employees. I don't think this is a huge team. If we realize that this team is not even able to offer severance. People have no pay, they have no money coming in, there's no severance, and it's causing a famine to some extent. It's completely crazy. I don't know what authorities we can talk to. There's a government sitting there responsible for employment insurance. I don't know if they have phone calls to make so that these people can get their severance. The idea that there's no salary, they won't get any employment insurance either.
Thank you. Monsieur Coder.
Merci, Monsieur Coder.
Merci, messieurs. Je dois vous avouer que je sens ces breaks un matin.
I can sense a kind of energy from you today.
Air Canada doit être conforme à la loi.
Air Canada has to comply with the
la réalité, c'est que le gouvernement peut s'être fait un avis juridique pour que ça sorte exactement comme quoi Air Canada est correct quand on n'est pas capable de faire la distinction entre une maintenance lourde et puis une maintenance de première ligne. On ne parle pas de changer l'huile, on parle de défaire un avion de la
remonter. We're not talking about an oil change here. We're talking about tearing apart a plane and putting it back together. I'd like to talk about the legal issues myself, because there's the issue of the legal issue, but there's also the political issue, and we're going to get back to that. Mr. Brosseau, what is your role as the Quebec coordinator?
Les activités au Québec.
I coordinate activities in Quebec.
Ici, on a peut-être c'est important de l'expliquer. C'est un district national à travers le pays. C'est pour ça que vous avez des intervenants.
It's a national district, and that's why we represent everywhere in the country. I represent Quebec.
Vous êtes pas un chaperon. Vous êtes là pour.
You're not chaperoning here, are you?
No, non plus.
Okay.
No.
All right.
I'm not a mother-in-law either.